I wouldn't pay $25 for all the Bitcoin in the world, says Warren Buffett. Hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to be part of the conversation. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger set Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency industry on fire during Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting. Billionaire business magnate Warren Buffett is not a big fan of Bitcoin. In fact, he famously told reporters years ago that it's probably rat poison squared. He's been more circumspect in recent years and refused to be drawn on his views at his company, Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting last year. That didn't stop his second-in-command Charlie Munger telling attendees cryptocurrency was disgusting and contrary to the interests of civilization.
Well, I have a slightly different way of looking at it.
I'll sell you something then.
Well, in my life, I try and avoid things that are stupid and evil and make me look bad in comparison with somebody else. And Bitcoin does all three. and in the first place, it's stupid because it's very likely to go to zero. The second place is evil because it undermines the Federal Reserve System and the national currency system, which we desperately need to maintain its integrity and government control and so on. And third, it makes us look foolish compared to the communist leader in China. He was smart enough to ban Bitcoin in China. And with all of our presumed advantages of civilization, we are a lot dumber than the communist leader in China.
Yeah, and when 25% of the people of the country get mad because we've said what we've said today, just remember Charlie spoke last and was the most... The one development that I really do think is actually important, but I don't know any way to do anything about it. But my general sense, and there's no way to prove it, but I essentially believe people are now behaving somewhat more tribal than they have for a long time. And I mean, people are always going to be partisan, and they're going to have religious beliefs, they're going to have all kinds of things, but it gets pretty tribal. And I want to tell you, I speak from experience because I've been tribal. And, we're confessing today. Nebraska football is tribal. And when I watch a television set and I see our guys Nebraska step out of bounds by a foot, but somehow the ref misses it and calls it in, and then they show 6 replays, I'll continue to believe it was in, even though it's right in front of my eyes. They stepped out. That's tribal behavior, and it's fun. I mean, to participate in, but it can get very dangerous when one group of people say 2 + 2 is 5, and another say it's 2 + 2 is 3. And they're going to give you those answers if you call them. And the interesting thing is, to me, at least, and partly because of my age, but I actually think that, just from memory, that the last time that the country was seen as tribal was actually when I was a kid and Roosevelt was in. Either you hated Roosevelt or you loved him. I mean, nobody cared about the fact Alf Landon was running or Wendell Willkie was running against him. They just had these feelings. They either had Roosevelt's picture on the wall and named their kids after Roosevelt, or they hated him. And they thought he was going to, no third term, and, a million things. And the country was very, very tribal in the 30s, but Roosevelt's tribe was bigger. And in my opinion, they did some wonderful things, but I happened to grow up in a household where we didn't get serve dessert until we said something nasty about Roosevelt. I mean, I'm speaking. And believe me, if you don't get dessert, you're going to say something nasty about Roosevelt. And so you trained them young, and all kinds of things. And so I think I've seen a period that it wasn't that way when, if Eisenhower was running against Stevenson or whatever it might be. I mean, people, they had a partisan behavior, and they had a certain amount of tribal always, but I don't think it's a good development for society generally when people get tribal regardless. I mean,
The billionaire investor explained that holding Bitcoin is stupid because he expects it to be worth $0 in time. Evil because it undermines the integrity and stability of the U.S. financial system and makes the U.S. stupid because the ruling party of China was smart enough to ban it. Munger took a less measured approach, saying that in my life, I try to avoid things that are stupid and evil and make me look bad. And Bitcoin does all three.
Well, I shouldn't answer any questions on the subject, but I will. There's all kinds of people watching this that are long Bitcoin, and there's nobody that's short, and nobody wants their windpipe stepped on. I don't blame them. I don't like people who step on my windpipe. But I would say this, that if the people in this room owned all of the farmland in the United States, and you offered me a 1% interest in it, and you said for a 1% interest in all the farmland in the United States, pay our group. Well, let's see, 10 million. Pay us this bargain price, $25 billion. I'll write you a check this afternoon. $25 billion. Now I own 1% of the farmland. If you tell me you own 1% of the apartment houses in the United States, and you offer me a 1% interest, so I'll have a 1% interest in all the apartment houses in the country, and you want whatever it may be for it, then call it another $25 billion or something. I'll write you a check. It's very simple. Now, if you told me you owned all of the Bitcoin in the world and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it, because what would I do with it? I have to sell it back to you one way or another. I mean, maybe I have the same people, but it isn't going to do anything. The apartments are going to produce rental, and the farms are going to produce food. And if I've got all the Bitcoin, I'm back where whatever his name was, who may or may not have existed, was 15 years ago. If I've got it all, he could create a mystery about it. But everybody knows what I'm like. I mean, so if I'm trying to get rid of it, people will say, well, why should I buy some Bitcoin from you? I mean, why don't you call it Buffett coin? Make your own or something. Do something. But I'm not going to give you anything for it. And you'd be right, incidentally. But that explains the difference between productive assets and something that depends on the next guy paying you more than the last guy got. Now, net, if you look at it, a lot of commissions have been paid, and there's all kinds of frictional costs that are very real that somebody has paid to a bunch of people who facilitate this game. But whatever one group of the public has taken out, or one group of owners, has come in from other people. I mean, it's other people have entered the room and they move money around, but there's no more money in the room. It just changed hands with a lot of maybe fraud and costs involved, and a whole bunch of things you lose. You forget the numbers or forget the equation. You can do that with a lot of things. I mean, it's been done throughout history. certain things have value that don't produce something tangible. I mean, you can say a great painting, probably will have some value 500 years from now. May not, but the odds are pretty good that if it was a big enough name at some point, there will be a few things. I mean, you can find something pretty. If somebody wants to sell you a pyramid or something, and you can charge the viewers, or it'll be around a long time and won't produce anything. But people will find it interesting to go there because I've read about the pyramids. But basically, assets to have value, they have to deliver something to somebody, and there's only one currency that's acceptable in the United States. I mean, you can come up with all kinds of things. We can put up Berkshire coins, or we can put up Berkshire money or anything like that. But we get in trouble, I guess, if we call it money. But in the end, this is money, and there's no reason in the world why the United States government, whose currency people prefer, there's just under 2.3 trillion just of these little pieces of paper floating around some places, 7,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States. And of course, most of them probably aren't in the United States. Who knows? But this is the only thing that's money. And anybody that thinks the United States is going to change to where they let Berkshire money replace theirs, is out of their mind. I mean, so anyway, with those few deficiencies, you can, whether it goes up or down in the next year or 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But the one thing I'm pretty sure of is that it doesn't multiply, it doesn't produce anything. It's got a magic to it, and people have attached magics to lots of things. I mean, the gold on Wall Street, create magic. We are not an insurance company; we're a tech company. Well, they're an insurance company, but a dozen people or so have raised a lot of money. They just don't pay any attention to the fact that we sell insurance. We are a tech company. Well, in the end, they wrote insurance, and overwhelmingly, they've lost a lot of money since then. You can make up things that work well in getting money from other people, and that's why.
Even Bitcoin enthusiasts tend to regard cryptocurrency as a passive asset that investors buy and hold and hope to see an increase in price over a long period. Buffett himself commented that there's nobody that's short on Bitcoin. Everyone is a long-term holder. For more sophisticated crypto investors, some coins offer a way for them to use their crypto productively, either through lending or as collateral, to create additional portfolio benefits. However, they're still young, highly speculative, and haven't broken into the mainstream like Bitcoin. So would you invest in a completely deregulated world? While everyone races toward blockchain, I wonder how we should sociologically value our movement away from banks, legal systems, and other pillars of our society. After all, with blockchain, we would need none of these checks and balances, because the whole point of blockchain is its indisputability. Then, the question is, what happens to these institutions? Do they all go away? Do we become a society that relies solely on a chain of coded transactions and come to consensus that we can all live off the grid? Let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Peace.